Well, the SPH Media Trust circulation saga will not impact the government's plans to provide funding support to the organisation. Communications and Information Minister Josephine Teo says that's because it has a crucial role in giving a local voice to news. It was revealed last month that the average daily circulation numbers of SPH media publications were inflated by about 10 to 12%. Geraldine Yap tells us more.
After the issue of SPH Media falsifying its circulation data came to light, MPs filed several parliamentary questions. Some wanted to know if the government would review its decision to provide funding to the media organisation and the grant amount. The government has committed up to $180 million per year over 5 years to SMT, starting from this financial year. But Communications and Information Minister Josephine Teo says no funds have been disbursed yet.
Specifically, no public monies have been lost. There is no change to the decision to provide funding support to SMT. And there is no change to the amount of funding for SMT.
She adds that the reasons for supporting SMT in its restructuring remain valid. That's because its English and vernacular media are crucial in giving a voice to Singaporean perspectives, and such publications remain trusted by the public.
Our local news media is at a watershed. Structural changes, technological advances, and the internet have severely disrupted the media industry, which traditionally relied on print advertising revenue. But moving to digital poses its own set of challenges. Our local news media face intense competition for eyeballs online. Moreover, the cost of running professional newsrooms often outstrips the revenue from an online model.
Mrs. Teo adds that circulation numbers were not a key consideration in assessing the amount of funding SMT required. Instead, the focus was on readership and reach, which measure how many people are consuming the content.
Readership and reach are measured through surveys done by third parties. SPHL had previously commissioned surveys conducted by third-party research agencies such as GFK. MCI had also independently verified readership and reach using data sources outside of SPHL and SMT, including data collected by the Reuters Institute of Oxford University and our own news consumption surveys. We also have in place conditions and safeguards to ensure that public funding is used in an accountable and responsible manner.
These safeguards include key performance indicators such as total reach and engagement of its digital platforms. And Mrs. Teo says SMT's KPI performance and financial statements will have to be audited by independent external auditors before they are submitted to the government. Now, the achievement of these KPIs will then determine the amount of funding that SMT receives. And money will only be disbursed if SMT provides satisfactory regular updates on where and how the funds are being used.
Well, CNA asked SPH Media how long the circulation numbers have been inflated and possible financial implications. SPH Media declined to comment as the review by the audit and its risk committee is ongoing.
Debate in Parliament over the SPH saga had accountability as a key concern. One MP asked how the government would respond if investigations reveal any illegal behaviour.
In the event that the further audit or investigation findings reveal any exposure to whether be it criminal sanctions or civil liabilities to other third parties, what are the steps that the ministry would take to ring-fence our future funding to SPH Media Trust in order to make sure or ensure that the funding will be committed to the purposes that it's been given.
If there is any evidence of laws having been broken, it will be the obligation of the SMT to refer the matter to the police. Even in those circumstances, we will have to look at what specifics have been revealed in order to assess the funding that the government has committed to provide. There are safeguards in place, and we will exercise them as necessary.
MPs also asked about the manner in which the incident had been revealed to the public and whether the saga has eroded trust in SMT.
Did the minister seek an explanation from SMT why they did not break the news themselves, but instead waited for an online news media to break it and then responded?
It is up to the management to decide if and how each particular event or incident ought to be communicated, both within the organization and outside the organization. Keep in mind that this review was initiated by SMT, and they were still in process. In fact, they have decided that they need to investigate more fully, and that's why they have asked their own Audit and Risk Committee to take on this work on an extended basis. Should the manner in which they communicated have been approached differently, I think that is a matter that the SMT and the management and the board will have to consider.
What does a ministry's assessment of the trust, whether the trust has been broken, the extent to which trust is broken, and whether or not there's actually going to be any steps taken in the interim to restore any public trust in the organization? After all, I think if the organization goes, people might be thinking, if the organization goes to such lengths to falsify circulation figures, such as even pulping newspapers, would we still be able to trust the content that's delivered by these organizations?
Until the Audit and Risk Committee completes its investigation and shares its findings, I will not prejudge the outcome. The board will have to share ARC's findings with the MCI after it has completed its investigation and rectify what needs to be rectified. What needs to be rectified, that is still not known yet. The board is accountable to the members of the CLG, but they also have a responsibility to let the public know how they intend to proceed. I think this responsibility is not lost on them. If there was any doubt that they did not take this matter seriously, I don't see why they would have convened another review by their own Audit and Risk Committee.